This time, we're going to be executing an arrest warrant against a Blaine County Sheriff's officer. Yep, so, all right, what I'm going to do is just call him in right now, so, everybody just kind of stay calm and just be ready if something gets stupid, all right? So, at this time, Mr. Biggums, if you don't mind turning around, placing your hands behind your back. City, we are here to serve and protect, not harass and arrest.
On one count of government corruption, the defendant is found
with a lot of evidence
there is a Mexican standoff
brought against the
CD right
suspect, aka Mr. Biggums.
What did he say?
Yep, so, all right, what I'm going to do is just call him in right now, so, everybody just kind of stay calm and just be ready if something gets stupid, all right?
I'm gonna stand over here.
All right. Hey, Biggums.
You call me?
Yeah, can you come to the garage?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Biggums. We have had a lot of things brought to our attention in the last several weeks, okay?
Okay.
That being said,
Great, come over here.
there are some charges being brought against you.
For what?
I'm going to get to that in a moment, and I will explain everything. With that being said, all of these charges and evidence brought against you has been brought to a judge, and an arrest warrant has been approved.
Wait, what?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well,
It's been going on for several weeks.
Hold on. Before we continue, I'm just gonna... Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead. Make sure you got your body cam on.
No, it is, but what I'm doing is...
Yep, I got you. You're good. I don't think you're gonna go crazy.
No, I know, but it's just... just to put at ease, I'm just giving you everything that I could use.
You're good. So,
And...
here's what we got. It's several weeks of evidence, both from the public and from officers, okay? So law enforcement had brought evidence, and also citizens of Concrete, all right?
Okay.
So, you are currently going to be placed under arrest for the following arrest warrant and the following charges: government corruption, false arrest, coercion, abuse of power, and impersonating a police officer while under suspension at the LSPD.
Wait, when was that?
Which one?
The, impersonating a police officer while under suspension.
Yes, sir. So while you were suspended at the LSPD,
Sure.
you were seen on the streets.
Okay.
And body cam evidence was provided of you patrolling in a sheriff's uniform and acting as BCSO without
I have that
BCSO
backdated
open.
I had it backdated that Slavey said I could.
Yes, sir. And we, unfortunately, again, I believe this is going to be more for an attorney reference here, but they have evidence where that is in writing, not approved.
Okay.
So I think that's something that you may, again, as I mentioned, I'm glad that you turned over your PD equipment and didn't make this worse, because this is definitely going to be your best chance to fight this in the court of law if you think you are being wrongfully convicted.
Okay. Could I see the evidence, or?
I believe, yes, when you have, when you talk to your attorney, they'll be able to pass that evidence along with all of the arrest warrant information, and you all will be able to share that together. This is another reason why I had Mr. Carter here. He is one of the attorneys, along with another attorney and a judge that signed off on the warrant.
Ironic. Okay.
Okay? So at this time, Mr. Biggums, if you don't mind turning around, placing your hands behind your back. At this time, you are being placed under arrest, and just so you know, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say or do can and will be used against you in the court of law. You do have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one may be appointed to you by the City of Lost Santos. Do you understand these rights, and do you have any questions about these rights been read to you today?
I do not have any questions now.
All right. Mr. Carter, you want to come on in the cells with me?
I want this whole thing shot up. I'd like a fair trial with a fair lawyer.
Yeah.
Is this an open trial?
Yeah, so as soon as everybody gets in here, we'll kind of go through the proceedings and everything.
Yeah, I got some Not contrary to popular belief by the LSPD, I actually am a good cop, but it is what it is.
No, Biggums got he beating everything.
Bro. Well, I'm Harvey fucking Specter, bro, and Mike Ross. I'm about to turn this shit up. Also, like,
Free Biggums, he did nothing.
is it too late to change my mind and ask if Joe Johnson can be my legal representative?
You might want to make that decision now.
What if I drop
If he's available, then I'd like Joe Johnson as my lawyer. Because despite all this, BCSO got my back, and they said I'm still employed.
Y'all got people showing up for jury duty. Where you want them at?
Just tell them to stand towards the front or the judge's benches.
Hey, don't take your phone out again or I'm gonna rat on you. Got it? Yeah. I'm telling. I'm calling the police.
Oh, what'd you say? You said something about a phone. Sorry, I was playing Snake.
I'm calling the police. You take it out again.
I am the police, motherfucker. Let me see
I'll
your
call him.
supervisor.
I'm calling BCSO.
I'm scared.
Sure we do.
A few moments later.
Alright, we're going to go ahead and start with our jury selection. If I could have each juror one by one come up, we're going to ask the questions, the 3 questions that you're going to be asked. If you've ever had any interaction with Mr. Biggums himself, whether it be with the LSPD or the BCSO in its entirety. Secondly, we'd like for you to state your name, your occupation, and then thirdly, we would like you to explain if you've ever had any action with LSPD or BCSO in itself. So if I can get one of the jurors one by one come up, just go ahead and state your name, and then I'll ask you the questions.
Jesus.
Yeah, if you'll just say your name, state your name for the record, and then state your ID.
Hope Slark, ID 396.
Okay, have you ever had any interaction with Mr. Biggums himself, being whether you were on a traffic stop with him or had any interaction whatsoever?
No, sir.
Okay. Have you ever had any interaction with the LSPD or BCSO in its entirety?
No, sir.
Okay, how long have you been in city?
It's been a couple of months now, like maybe 3, 4.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and move forward with you if you'll step to my left over here. If we could have the next juror.
That's his right.
If I can have the next juror step up.
That's me, I got you.
You'll state your name and your lucky number for the record.
My name is Mohammed. My ID is 43.
What is your current occupation in the city, and how long have you been in the city?
My occupation right now is I flip cars. You know, I'm a mechanic. I've been in city since like the 9/11 bombing. You know, I had to move here. You know, for my for a better future.
Okay. Okay. Have you ever had any action with Mr. David Biggums with the LSPD or the BCSO currently?
Actually, the BCSO, I had a little interaction. Basically, like I was bleeding on the sidewalk, and then it was outside Cuban Records. You know, I was freestyling, and I come outside. You know, I was bleeding a lot. So while I was waiting for the hospital, the sheriffs pull up for no reason. You know, they started searching me, and then next thing you know, I black out. And then I go to the cameras of the Cuban Records, and I look at it. They were searching me, taking all my stuff, taking my weapons, and apparently it was illegal. But like, you can't just like take my stuff with me being unconscious and stuff. You know, I didn't do anything wrong.
I got you. All right. If you'll take a step to my right, your right as well. And if I can have the next juror stand up.
No, he's
Right here?
Wrong way. That's left. Alright, ma'am, if you can state your name and your lucky number for me.
My name is Aaron, 117.
How you doing, Miss Aaron? How long have you been in concrete?
Been here about 2 weeks.
Have you ever had any interaction with Mr. David Biggums with LSPD or BCSO?
No, I have not. I got pulled over the other day. That's about it.
There's nothing to hear. Nobody's doing anything. Oh, wait, what? Oh.
Welcome to the crew.
Hello, hello.
What?
Yeah, that guy's definitely not fit for jury.
I agree. Look at him.
He ranted about his hatred for the police. I don't think he's fit to be, you know, an unbiased judge.
I agree.
Bruh.
Welcome, welcome.
Wait, is Lord the judge?
Yeah, that's fine. This juror number is 187, and her name is Miss Quinevere Peach.
You snitched on me to David, huh? Which one of you fuckers did that?
Miss Quinevere has never had an interaction with Mr. David Biggums.
Give us that say.
Miss Quinevere has been in concrete for 3 to 4 months.
Do you guys think I could go again?
I wouldn't suggest it.
I gave a wrong name.
Did you actually?
No.
Oh my god, you better go over there and like correct that next.
Alright, we'll take the next juror.
Talk to that guy. Oh,
He's
sorry.
sorry with it. He's sorry.
If you would state your name and your juror number, please.
My name is Vladimir, and I don't think I have a juror number yet. I wasn't assigned one.
Your juror number should be your lucky number.
Oh, 398.
Okay. Have you ever had any interaction with Mr. David Biggums?
With Mr. David Biggums? No, I have not. Can't say that I have.
Okay. Have you ever had any interaction with the LSPD or BCSO?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Have you ever been arrested?
Criminal.
Yes, actually no. I was almost arrested.
Okay.
Because they planted drugs in my car.
Okay. If you would step over to the right, my left.
Thank you.
And I'll take the next one. The last one.
I had more interactions with him. Jeez.
Oh, ow.
I bet you did.
Sorry about that.
You okay, sir?
Yeah, I'm great.
If you would state your name and your juror number, please.
Neo Harris.
My name is TJ
Never said
Emerald,
anything else.
juror number 130.
Crazy.
And Mr. TJ, have you ever had any contact with Mr. David Biggums?
No.
Okay. How long have you been in concrete?
Oh, a very long time. Almost too long.
Okay. Have you ever had any interaction with the LSPD or BCSO?
Nope, you can't catch a ghost.
Okay. Have you ever been arrested?
Never.
Okay. If you'll step to your right, my left.
Beautiful, thank you.
All right, Mr. Juror number 403, we appreciate your service. You can join the crowd in the back. All the jurors to all my jurors to the left, if you would, go stand back where you were, please. All right, so what we're going to do here,
My name's Mohammed.
I'll go through my notes here for you so we can, you guys can follow along. You have been summoned for the case of the people of the state of Concrete RP versus David Biggums, case number 24P0001. This is a criminal case. Criminal cases in Concrete RP are always brought on behalf of the people of the state of Concrete RP by a local district attorney office or the LSPD or the BCSO. This case was filed by the LSPD. We may refer to the LSPD as the prosecution or the people. The people are represented by the following attorneys themselves. They are to my left. Their lucky numbers are 414-449-462, and I believe 183, and I believe 136. The defendant is Mr. David Biggums. His lucky number is going to be 500. Mr. Biggums has been charged with... Alright, so Mr. David Biggums has been charged with government corruption, false arrest, coercion, abuse of power, and impersonating a police officer while under suspension with the LSPD. Mr. David Biggums is with us today. He is represented by his attorney, Mr. Joe Johnson. His lucky number is 297. The charges themselves are not evidence of anything. They are not proof that Mr. Biggums committed any crime. No one should assume that Mr. Biggums committed a crime just because he's been charged in this case. Mr. Biggums is presumed innocent, and that the presumption of innocence remains with him and must be given effect by the jury throughout the trial, unless after considering all of the evidence, the jury is convinced that the defendant is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. The prosecution has the burden of proving beyond a reasonable doubt every element of each crime charged. Mr. Biggum has pled not guilty to these charges, and under Concrete RP, a person charged with certain crimes, including these charges, may plead not guilty, which I will explain during the trial. Because Mr. Biggums has pled not guilty, if any evidence is presented that should not be admitted, I will strike that. At the end of the trial, after all evidence has been completed, the jury must decide whether the prosecution proved beyond a reasonable doubt every element of each charge, including that Mr. Biggums did commit those crimes set forth. As to every charge, Mr. Biggums may be found guilty, not guilty, or not guilty by reason of insanity. Do we have any questions at this time? As soon as Mr. Johnson is ready, we will have him come in, and then the state will start their presentation and opening arguments.
Who is representing the LSPD?
I can't even get anyone to call.
It's supposed to be Sean Carter.
Okay,
So,
is he
if
here?
he's not here, well, he's not, but he was in the,
Yeah, who am I going to be
email,
eating up?
so, most likely to be me.
Oh, I'm so sorry for this.
Yeah, let's do it.
Can you come talk to us for a sec, please, sir?
I just got this case myself.
Yep.
I have seen. I'm trying to power read this, Mr. If I tell you that I've got, if we can, how do I say this? How confident are you in writing this through the trial instead of meeting in mediation or settlement conversation and mediation? If I promise you I have evidence to disprove most and or all of this false.
I mean, you have more body camera evidence?
So the one evidence I'll be submitting once we get the notification that I put in there will eradicate the impersonating an officer while off duty.
It's
100%. I have a printout of emails between my client and Mr. Swavey Brown, who was at the time building the what is it, BCSO?
Okay.
Who he blatantly asked, "Is there a problem with me driving in an unmarked to do patrols. He said, then my client said there was no cops in the city. To that, Swavey responded, BCSO is not fully operational, so I don't care what you do. His direct commanding officer gave him permission to patrol.
And you saw the transcript
As there was
there where Swavey claims he was not in control of BCSO, correct?
I see that, but that's outside of what his commanding officer told him. He doesn't see the transcripts on the other side.
There is no commanding officer. I mean, respectfully, I'm just saying it's
Wait,
back and
what?
forth. You have an email stating that he's a commanding officer. We have an email stating that Swavey is admitting to not being a commanding officer. So who is the commanding officer?
Wait, whoa. Who said that?
Look, is
Swavey not running? Is Swavey not sheriff?
This is before Swavey was sheriff. This is what I'm trying to tell you. We're talking about dates here. So we're dating back to...
What date did Swavey get made sheriff?
I can't tell. I don't know, but I can tell you that on 423 and 424, during this interaction, as of 424, Swavey admits in the emails that you have.
Yeah, we're debating.
Now, where the evidence is, where the transcript was given, where he says to the other officer, I'm not in charge. Do what you want. Pretty much what he said. I believe. I'm pulling it up now. Give me a second. I got two sets of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. I read to you verbatim the quote. BCSO is not fully up yet, so I don't care what you do. I quote, end quote. Responding as if he was the commanding officer. I didn't know he wasn't.
Wait, who? God damn.
BCSO 424 Swavey on 424 at 11:40 a.m. BCSO 125 Swavey Brown states word for word. Wow. ... WTF dash. He said he can ride in an unmarked unit. I said, I'm not the guy to ask and that we're not operational. This is while I'm up north in a fitting room. ... I barely know the guy. ... He just hit me up in emails.
Those are between Mr. David and Swavey directly. Clearly what Mr. Swavey said in that transcript is not at all what he said to Mr. Brown. To David, sorry.
Yeah, he clearly states BCSO is not fully operational. I don't care what you do. So therefore, that's not an operating department, and he is patrolling as a sheriff, which is not an operating department in the county at this time, or the city.
Then how were you? Then David, how were you transferring?
Hold on,
I'm confused.
Okay.
I mean, yes, it's open now, but it clearly states right there it is not
fully up yet. Yeah, I understand that.
Fully operational.
But as far as because when I read it, I see, can I patrol? Well, we're not got the final touches on yet, so I don't really care. I didn't think they weren't up at all. Otherwise,
I'm pretty sure it states word for word BCSO not fully operational. So I don't care what you do.
Listen to me for a moment. What I'm trying to say is, not fully up yet doesn't mean that the building's not there, the uniform's not made. It just means that they didn't have their MDT yet, or they didn't have a patrol car marked for them, or I don't know what that means. They could have been a full unit, but just missing one thing or something. Were there no other officers patrolling at all under the sheriff badge?
No, it was not. It was not an operating.
Then why would
organization at that time?
Then why would he not say it's not an operating? Then why would he not say it's not operational? No.
Because he's not in charge per the other email. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So there's two different emails stating that he is not in charge of VCO and it's not operational.
If you asked me if you could walk in as a lawyer, I would tell you no. Even though I'm not in charge, I would still no. You can't legally do that. You see what I'm saying?
But there's also a fucking legal system right now. So of course I can't. And if there wasn't a legal system, I still couldn't. Or else it would be impersonating.
Yeah, but that's what. Yes, I agree. I did. Why would he not say that? I'm confused.
What do you mean? He did. It's not operational. That means it's not operational. How much more? Never mind. All right, you ready to do this?
Well, no. You're not
Please.
I just got all of this 10 minutes ago.
Oh shit.
Slow down.
Oh, we're in a little bit of a leg locking situation. Hold up, I don't know.
Like literally, I just got told I was doing this. I'm trying to catch up.
That's cool, brother. Let's catch up. But I mean, there's no more to catch up on that one. Let's move on.
David, why? What were you switching to? You said you were transferring, correct?
I put it in my letter of resignation.
No, but I'm asking you now. What were you switching
I
to?
transferred it. I was switching to BCSO. I was under the impression everything was on the
That
up and up.
it wasn't a thing though at that point, right?
In all the way, but I was told that all the key stuff that needed, because I was told, and I don't know if you can see it, the MLO was in, and that we were getting uniforms on the way. And when he said, "I don't care what you do," I construed that as it is. I construed that as a green light.
Come on, just back out the door, bro.
Okay, I see what you're saying, and I hear you, but it sounds like it was a I can't give you an order yes or no because it's not a thing. I'm not your boss yet. That's what it sounds like it was.
Yo,
meant to
Michael,
be.
can I talk?
Okay.
Who is
Thank
this?
you.
All right.
That's
Thank
Bruno.
you for that information. I didn't even see this transcript. Jesus, there's so much here. And my next question is where's the corruption come in? I'm trying to find that so I can look into that.
That's so the first order is going to be the first video is going to be the and pictures are going to be the evidence of the impersonating. The second, third, and fourth are going to be the false arrest information, and then you're going to see some of the corruption along within that and the fourth and fifth video as well.
No, it's only if you're a witness.
Sixth and seventh video.
Studied law.
There'll be some continuance of that.
So none of them like directly are showing
Well,
him
you have
using
to,
his
you
position.
have to,
No, I
yes.
know. That's why I'm
Yeah.
just clarifying.
You have to.
Because
Yes,
corruption is using one's
it is, and you have to
position
listen to
for
it.
personal gain.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So that would have to be along with the false arrest and abuse of power, all kind of funneled into the same charges there.
All right.
So
now,
there was stuff all
based
over,
on this,
body cam and arrests.
based on this, do we have any witnesses here that are going to be examined by the state?
I didn't plan to pull anybody. To be honest with you. Yep.
Well,
I'm just gonna let the jury decide. Review the claims. Let the jury decide, man. You got your point. You know what I mean? Let him defend himself.
Yeah. So there will be no examination of.
No, if you guys have
witnesses or
any
testimony.
No, I mean, nobody's been reached out to or confirmed that they want to testify. So.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. Let me see if I can do some.
All right. So we're basically going to say, here's all the evidence that is against him, and then they're going to look at it and say whether they think he's guilty or not. There's no me trying to disprove any of it or throw,
But I mean, it's just the evidence, so that's what I mean. The jury is there, but again, that's a little tough unless we're going to throw a screen up and watch the videos.
Because he says that he asked to see the warrant, no one let him.
Yeah, I don't remember asking to see the warrant. I'd have never opposed that. I remember asking for the evidence, and I did say I can't give that to you at this time, but I'm sure there'll be
You're correct.
Once we
Yeah,
determine
you would
who's
do
going to
that.
be,
Yeah, that would be discovery
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But as soon as I saw it was asked for, I had no problem giving it to him. You know what I mean?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, and I guess we'll get right on this then. This should be pretty quick. Then, so would you like to give your opening statement to the jury and let them know what you think, why, or how do you want to do it?
Sure. Sure. I mean, yeah. We'll let the judge open it up and pull whoever wants to, however you want to do it.
Mr.
Where you're
Biggums,
going, man.
please.
I ain't trying to be here all night. Hello. Remington Winchester, Chief of Police. Today, we're going to be presenting some charges against Mr. David Biggums for government corruption, false arrest, coercion, abuse of power, and impersonating a police officer while under suspension with the LSPD. These charges brought upon him based off of some evidence that was brought to our attention from several citizens of Los Santos, including members of EMS, members of the LSPD, and more. We can certainly review any footage that is allowed, if requested and allowed on both parties. And I am open to any questions in reference to said evidence against Mr. Biggums. If you'd like any further questions answered the jury or the defendant in reference to the evidence, please ask, and I'll be open to talk about it.
All right, and we'll go with the defense.
Hello, everybody. My name is Joe Johnson. I am representing Mr. David here under his defense. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to be aiming to prove a reasonable doubt against these charges being filed against my client. And in doing so, I will be presenting a few different pieces of legislation and some evidence, as well as calling up an officer to ask a few questions. We're going to make this pretty quick. If there's anything you guys would like to see in reference to what I bring up or what I mention, please say so. And we'll try to answer any questions we possibly can as quickly as we can.
All right, and do we have any evidence that needs to be submitted by either side?
No, sir, just what I posted or gave to you too, which is irrelevant at this point, so we're good here.
All right.
Sure. Well, guess we'll start with impersonation of a police officer while under suspension with the LSPD. On 4/23/2024, Mr. Biggums was placed on suspension with the LSPD. The following day, he was seen by Miss Prescott, and another citizen of Los Santos that is seen in the photographs and the camera video, wearing and claiming to be a member of the Blaine County Sheriff's Office. And at that time, on 4/24, the BCSO, for short, was not in operation. We do have emails from the deputy chief at the time of the LSPD and Mr. Swavey Brown, who is now the sheriff of the BCSO, stating that he was not the one to give, that authorization to Mr. Biggums, that the BCSO is not operational, quote unquote, I don't care what you do. Mr. Biggums then took that into his own hands to suit up as BCSO and patrol the streets in the sheriff's uniform and also in a unmarked vehicle. That is our case against the charge of impersonating a police officer. Do you want to move on to the next one, or shall we stop here for a moment?
Go ahead and if you have the witness here that can corroborate the story, you can go ahead and call them up, and then once we do that, we can have the defense cross-examine.
Sure. We'll start with Mr. Prescott.
How's it going? Me and Mrs. Prescott were at my house. We were standing out by the gate where Mr. Biggums pulled up in a black unmarked cruiser, stating to be BCSO. Again, at this time, BCSO was not launched. He claimed that, again, Swavey said that he was allowed to take the vehicle out. Swavey did not claim those claims. And that's when the body cam was sent to the LSPD.
I have no question against a witness statement.
Okay. Defense, do you have any cross-examination?
No, I don't.
All right. State, do we have any other witnesses to any other charges or anything else you would like to present?
Ms. Prescott is here, but I'm sure her story is probably going to be very similar. She can speak for herself on that if she'd like.
Okay, defense, would you like to cross-examine the witnesses?
No, sir.
Okay. Defense, you can go ahead and go forward and start presenting your case.
Did someone check the door? So,
Session, Brody.
I'm going
to
to,
search
you want me to present my case against that a singular charge, or my entire defense against a number of things?
It seems as the state has rested, so that would leave you to present yours.
Copy that, thank you very much. Alright, so, alright, as this warrant stands, I will repeat the charges being filed against my client here as government corruption, false arrest, coercion, abuse of power, and impersonating a police officer. So under those filed charges and the statutes therein, I would like to call Officer, well, I guess I can't really say, Mr. Ben, would you please come up here and talk, or come to the stand for me, please? So, Mr. Ben, how long have you been with the police force?
Since November 15th, 2023.
Alright, and you've seen a lot of people come and go, yeah?
Sure have.
And the understanding of the laws as they state in the MDT and the statutes that defend those is pretty important as a police officer, correct?
10-4.
And an officer of Mr. Johnny Cray's rank, which is what?
Was Deputy Chief.
Was Deputy Chief, is no longer, is that what I'm hearing?
Correct.
And is there a reason for that?
Bigger than us.
Okay, so I'll just have the courts know that the lead investigating officer in this case against my client is no longer an officer, but given his position as it was at this point in time, he should have known like the back of his hand what charges were and were not legal statutes and or charges in the MDT that you could charge somebody with. Is that a yes or a no?
10-4.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to please pull out your MDT, and I'm going to read some charges to you, and I'm going to have you look them up and see if these are legal statutes and or charges in the MDT that you can charge an individual with. Do you have any objection to that?
Negative.
Okay, I'm going to start with government corruption. Is that in fact a charge in the MDT?
Negative.
Is false arrest a charge that is chargeable in the city of Concrete in the MDT? If you said something I didn't hear you, I don't know if you're still looking or...
Negative, but both could fall under impersonating, so...
Okay, but no. There's very specific statutes that differentiate each charge. So charges being false arrest. How about coercion? Just the charge of coercion. Is that something you could put on an arrest report as a charge against a citizen of Concrete?
Negative. However, the corruption one is correct. My fault.
Yes, government corruption is in there. I was going to go to that at the end. I just wanted to move through. How about abuse of power?
Technicality negative?
There's technical, I mean, it's negative. There is not a charge in the MDT to charge an individual with abuse of power. Okay. Now, just out of formality, I'm going to say it. Impersonating a police officer. That is or is not a charge in the MDT that you can charge somebody with. It is? Is that what you said?
Impersonating a peace officer? Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect.
Impersonating
Yes,
a government official.
Well, that's it's the first one you said. It's impersonating a peace officer or peace officer. But yeah, I agree. However, so 2 of those charges are legal statutes here in the city of Concrete, and 3 of them are what? Just I'm not sure where did those 3 come from?
Don't know.
You don't know? So I'm to understand that Mr. Cray here, who was, you said, assistant chief?
He was deputy chief.
Deputy chief, okay, sorry. He put these charges on here, these attempted charges, these, I guess we could say, imaginary charges on an arrest warrant for my client that went through the proper channels and got signed by a judge, even though the charges that were on there were not legally charges that exist.
Ever?
And this is the lead officer again, okay. So, do you know anything about Mr. Cray having led an investigation just shortly before this investigation against my client, Mr. David?
Negative. Wasn't on the force.
Okay. Well, there was actually a request for warrant submitted that was denied based on lack of evidence and lack of concrete proof of crimes have been committed, period. I think it was actually only it was less than a month and a half prior to this, and the lead officer on that case also was Mr. Johnny Cray. If need be, I can probably pull up information on that, or we can take my word for that. But does it not seem a little bit strange that the same lead officer is on both warrant attempts or warrant submissions? Does that kind of give you a little pathway to follow here that might look a little biased, or maybe an ulterior motive could have been at play? He had a vindictive nature or a frustration with my client?
I can't speak for Johnny Cray, so I'm unsure on that one.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, when I was asking that, I kind of messed up. So, could it be reasonable to assume that when denied a warrant, the police force would then not let that same officer lead an investigation to the same individual as the lead officer in the investigation? Due to potential conflict of interest, like, they tried, they got denied, now they'll be upset they got denied, so they'll really be, malice in their attempts. Would you probably put a different officer on the lead investigation?
You could. Again, I still can't speak for it.
No, I'm speaking for you, as where you sit in your position. If you were assigning an officer to investigate an individual, would you let it be the officer that just investigated him a month prior and failed and was upset about it?
If he has the evidence, I don't see why I wouldn't.
Okay. So, looking past the potential malice there, that they could be frustrated that they failed, so they're really going to go gung-ho and try real hard, find anything, clearly put charges on it that are not legal charges in the MDT, and now no longer work for them. So the credibility, I'm just questioning the credibility of the lead officer in this entire investigation at this point. And he's not here to back this. So I mean, what are we supposed to go off of when there's no witnesses, no victim testimonies, and we don't even have the lead officer in the investigation here to explain the route taken to gather charges?
Yeah, the lead officer couldn't be here if he wanted.
So what it comes down to is it's Johnny Cray's word, who's no longer here and can't be here, versus my client's.
I'd say we'd still focus on 2 charges that we have that are valid.
Potentially valid. So in the false, I'm confused at how I can submit a warrant. It gets through with I'm sorry, I don't know how to call these non-legit charges. And what, we just take those charges off alone, or we invalidate the entire arrest warrant in the first place?
I think that'd fall on DOJ's side for approving it.
Yeah, you're right, that was kind of rhetorical. Alright, well, I don't really have much more to ask you. Yeah, I'll turn this over to the state.
The state has no further witnesses or statements towards the impersonating a police officer. Just the government corruption charge in reference to the evidence that was brought forward. Obviously, false arrest and the other 2 charges cannot come into play, as we just heard here recently, because they are not statutes here in the city of Concrete, which is understood. I do believe the government corruption could come in replacement of said false arrest due to the false arrest report made at the Davis Medical Center, and the evidence provided against that could fall under the government corruption, along with further evidence that was provided from conversations that Mr. Biggums had while employed as law enforcement.
Can I inquire upon something he just said there?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, as you know it, I'd actually try off the top of your head if you have to up your MTC, that's fine. Do you know what the definition of government corruption is? As the law sees it in the statute? Sir?
Oh,
Are you asking me, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, please, if you could, tell me off the top of your head if you can. If not, that's fine, you can open your MDT and actually read it. But what the definition of government corruption is, as the statute states it?
Well, government corruption is abusing your powers. Could be for private gain, could be through bribery or other methods.
Okay. So the definition is
I'm gonna rather state that
the use of one's position for personal gain.
Yes, correct. What I said, powers for private gain. Could be
so
used
what
through
did he
bribery
personally
or
gain?
Other methods.
What did he personally gain from arresting somebody?
Putting someone who did not deserve to be behind bars, using his powers to do so just because he felt that he could, which is part of the reason that this information was submitted as evidence, because that abuse of power is not something that the citizens want to see on the street. That power being forced against the citizens just to arrest them because they feel that they can, because they have a badge now. Or think they do.
So you're saying the power of an officer, meaning wearing the badge or working for the state in a capacity of law enforcement, would mean that you can't arrest somebody if they've committed a crime and not feel good about it. So you gain personally, and for yourself, you have personal gain when you arrest somebody?
So, sir, again, if you listen to what I said there with all due respect, just as you speculated, one may use, as you speculated, Mr. Cray may have used his attempts to get Mr. Biggums out of anger, right? Maybe the same was used for Mr. Biggums against these particular individuals and the citizens. He failed to arrest them so many times that he just finally did it. Or he failed to get them in trouble.
That's called speculation.
So
that's called
Yes,
speculation.
well, I'm just giving you a view like you did for Mr. Cray, that's all. Yes, sir.
Oh, and I understand it, and it was corrected, and I apologize for it. Is what I said.
Yes, sir. So,
Yeah,
again,
so we
this
can't
is
speculate.
something, yes, sir. So, again, this is something that we do not want in the LSPD, but as you can see from the evidence provided, that exact thing was said. Because I'm a police officer, yes, I can.
But what is that What does he have to gain from that? Now, is it
let's
abusive?
not-
Is it rude? Yes, but it is not gaining him anything. There, by the definition by right does not stand.
If
There,
he
by
may
the
be,
definition, his arrest was dishonesty. Let's not forget that that's also corruption.
correct.
How? No, corruption, and again, told you the definition.
Again, corruption
Use of a position
is a form of
for gain.
dishonesty, criminal offense which is undertaken by a person and entrusted in a position of authority and acquired to an illicit benefits or abuse of power for one's personal gain. Again, dishonesty can also
Where
be
are you
used.
reading that from?
Huh?
Where did you just get that from? Because in the MDT, that's not at all what it says.
My brain. I do this for a living. Sorry.
Well, no, I know. I'm just saying, but as it stands in statute here in city, that is not at all what it says. We can only go by what is on paper in front of us to find.
Yes, so, again, it could all be speculation. This is why we have evidence. It is a known fact that the person who brought the evidence for the quote-unquote false arrest and government corruption because of false arrest was brought against him because of the person that he indeed arrested, which he did have a personal relationship with. And there was, again, several comments throughout that evidence that was provided, which we could be more than happy to show here to the jury if you would like, that those powers were used indeed
I see
for
what you're
private
saying.
gain.
So you think it was like an emotional one-up, I'm building myself up because I feel better now that they're in trouble, kind of thing.
Again, don't want to go outside of the
I'm trying to
statute,
understand.
right?
I'm trying to understand.
Powers for private gain. So the evidence does show clearly that that is what this was for. Especially when surrounded by several EMS workers that witnessed, again, in the evidence, government members that we trust to save our lives. This
They're not
officer
here to testify.
betrayed. Again, this is why we have evidence, right? Not everybody wants to be a face on a stage, right? This is why we have evidence submitted. This evidence that was submitted from recorded body cam from our government officials, who again save our lives, were saying that this young lady was indeed innocent and did nothing, but Mr. Biggums here continued to proceed with the arrest, stating, quote unquote, after being told she was innocent, you can't do this, you don't have to do this. I can because I'm a police officer.
Okay. Just where it becomes difficult because there's so much to play here, and they're speaking on his relationship with the alleged victim. And yes, I agree there was a relationship, but there's how do I say this? I need to request a 2-minute recess to go over something before I present this, and I want to make sure that you guys also have record of this something before I present it, so it's not illegitimized evidence. Is there any...
Take your time.
Go ahead.
Alright, let's all take a 5-minute break real quick. If you need to stretch your legs, move around the
I
courtroom.
ain't even got
You are allowed to exit, just make your
car.
Hey, go ahead and find the report on Ariana Moore from David Biggums the day he arrested her.
I didn't think there was actually a report.
There isn't, but we have body cam of him arresting her,
There
taking
isn't.
her out of that pillbox.
There isn't.
So where did you
Like I just
report.
told you, I ain't even got started yet.
Yeah, so that's my next portion.
That's fine.
Okay, so we are at the point in our trial where the closing arguments come into play. The state will make their final closing argument first, then the defense
Let's
will
get
go
it.
second. After the closing remarks, the jury will convene in the back office of the judge's chambers. Remember, it has to be a unanimous decision, i.e., all jurors must vote the same to have a verdict.
You can use it just for a bit though, because...
Alright, if I can have a representative of the state step forward once the defense comes back into the room, State, you may move forward and present your closing arguments.
All right. Am I free to go ahead?
If you want to make your closing statement and/or final statements, the jury, I think that's where we're at. Am I correct, Your Honor?
Yes, that is correct. State, you can go ahead and forward and move with your closing arguments for the jury.
Copy. Okay, just as a final statement here, just to kind of run back, as we know, the charges that we know for a fact. Give me one moment. Charges that we know for a fact can stand here in our say and belief is indeed the government corruption and the impersonation of a police officer, as we know it, a government official. We do have that evidence, as we stated, and we also have further evidence from the member who Mr. Biggums thought was sheriff at the time, clearly stating he was not the sheriff or the operating personnel for the BCSO, and Mr. Biggums indeed took it into his own hands to then operate as an officer. We do have the charge of the government corruption because of the false arrest made at the Davis Hospital, and might I add, to prove that this was indeed a false arrest, showing that this was just an arrest using his power for some sort of gain in a private manner. There is not even a report in the MDT from Mr. Biggums against Ariana Moore on the day of this report. So we don't even know where Miss Ariana Moore was taken that day after taken out of pillbox in the custody of Mr. Biggums in handcuffs. That'll be the end statement on that particular incident. As far as other evidence that was provided, I know the jury did not get a chance to see, but we also have evidence of Mr. Biggums taking a phone call, threatening people at an impound to break their kneecaps with his PD-issued baton. In my personal opinion, this attitude is not...
We're going to have to scratch that. If the evidence wasn't submitted...
That's against... It is submitted. It's been submitted. That is in our review, and hopefully should have been reviewed by the defense. That evidence is in there from an officer of Mr. Biggums stating this over the phone, walking up to an officer to make sure it could be heard by the officer during this phone call that he was going to break someone's kneecaps at the impound with his PD baton and make sure that they could never walk again. I believe, as the chief of police, and I think the citizens of Los Santos can agree, this is not something that we want to see. And the attitude we want to see from someone carrying a badge in the city. We are here to serve and protect, not harass and arrest. I end my case.
All right, the state has now arrested. Defense, if you want to go ahead and present your closing arguments.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to explain something as best I can to the jury here. What I'm going to aim to do here is argue the validity of the warrant in question as pertaining to the evidence submitted to get approval on said warrant, the officer who pressed for the warrant, and the reasoning behind that. So the alleged victim of this false arrest, which you just stated, thank you by the way, that there was no report made on, there were no charges filed on, so anything that was being pursued was dropped, clearly, and there was no more ill will or malice from the alleged victim, and it is in her own words that there's no ill will and she didn't want to pursue charges in the first place, that it was in fact Mr. Cray who took it upon himself to pursue said charges, even though the alleged victim denied wanting to and actually said that she wouldn't be. So I don't know how you have a victimless crime, but this false arrest that's being made, that is the main standing
Objection.
of... okay, what's the objection?
There's no evidence to that statement.
I'm telling you.
There's no evidence
What do
to
you mean?
that statement. Objection.
There's no evidence to what? That she didn't want to press charges?
Where's the evidence to that? There was no evidence.
Where's the
provided.
evidence that she did press charges?
Sustained. Let's move forward.
Okay. There was charges filed of false arrest, which is not an actual charge, but is the basis of their corruption case when there's no evidence from a victim to say that they wanted charges pursued in the first place. So, the only evidence we have that somebody was arrested and or detained was she was escorted out in cuffs and then no charges were filed. So, where's the arrest that is falsified? That stands to the validity of again, the warrant mentioning that there are charges on there that aren't actually charges. Again, the lead officer's not here, and actually why this warrant was even processed with those standings should invalidate it.
Okay, does the defense rest?
Sure thing. Yes, sir.
All right, at this time we'll have the jury convene in the judge's chambers. Everyone else can stay out here, and we will return once the jury reaches a verdict. All right, so we've come to the point in our trial where the jury has returned a verdict. At this point in time, I will have one of the jurors bring me their letter of recommendation on what the verdict is. Once the verdict is read by myself, we will have actually my clerk of court over here, Mr. Weston, will read the verdict off. After that, we will go into sentencing, and we will go from there. Can I please have the head juror step forward and give the recommendation to the clerk? Clerk, do you have the verdict?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I do have it.
All right, in just a second, you will read that verdict off as it stands. At this point in time, this is in reference to case 24 CRP 0001, LSPD versus David Biggums. Clerk, will you read off the verdict for the first charge of government corruption?
On one count of government corruption, the defendant is found guilty.
All right, moving along to the second one in the LSPD versus David Biggums 24 CRP 0001 in charge reference to impersonation of a police officer / government official. How does the jury find the defendant?
The defendant is found guilty.
Thank you, clerk. In reference to the two charges of government corruption, charge 1 and impersonation of a police officer / government official, charge 2, the defendant is found guilty on both charges. The defendant, Mr. David Biggums, will be remanded to the LSPD for detainment, and sentencing will occur just a few moments.
Oop, that is.
Jury, thank you for your time and your service. You are dismissed.
Thank you for your service. Jury, you may be dismissed at this point in time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Mr. Biggums. You wouldn't mind turning around for me?
All right.
Screw you, buddy. Never mind. That's yeah.
All right. In reference to
Say or do
sentencing of
nothing
Mr.
stupid.
David Biggums,
You're just taking a little relax.
the
Chill. I'll be down there to
criminal
speak with you.
justice system
Answer
of
no
Concrete
questions
RP
until I get
sentences
there.
you
Understood?
to be barred from employment of any government agency such as the LSPD, the BCSO, and the Los Santos EMS effective immediately. You will serve jail time of 60 months in jail. At the point of your release, you are no longer allowed to hold an employment position on any government agency in Concrete RP. This is not limited to, but including LSEMS, BCSO, or LSPD, or lawyer. Do you have any questions for me, Mr. Biggums?
He's in handcuffs. He can't answer.
Do you have any questions, sir?
I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
At this point in time, I want to thank everyone for attending the court. If the defense has any motions, such as requesting a retrial, you may do that within 15 days from today's date, which is May 19th, 2024 at 23:25, 11:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you would make that within 15 days from today's date. This court is adjourned.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and place you back. All right, Mr. Biggums. I'm going to take you out to...
Don't you worry. I'm getting my ass out of this. It's all bullshit. LOA. Don't even fire me. Put me in LOA, brother.
Mr. Biggums, at this time, you do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say or do can and will be used against you in a court of law. You do have the right to an attorney. But if you cannot afford one will be appointed to you by the City of Lost Santos. Do you have any questions? Do you understand these rights when ready?
Oh, let me just make it clear so you guys can't argue at this time. I, David Biggums, badge number 679, Senior Deputy, Central Intelligence Unit of the Blaine County Sheriff's Office, request Joe Johnson as a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, they're everywhere.
It's just kind of floating everywhere.
Where did you go, George? Where did you go?
In my car.
I was at 1080, but I just lost eyes so fast.
Alright, I'm going to go ahead and search you at this time.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Sorry, brother.
I'm going to need you to,
Walk off.
Man, I can't get this guy out my car. Can you help me out with what?
10-4.